Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And you're listening to Forgotten Cinema's 30-Second Ad. Forgotten Cinema is a podcast where we talk about films that, for a variety of reasons, seem to have been forgotten by audiences. We talk notes about production and release, why we believe these films were forgotten, and whether or not we think they're worth a revisit. Forgotten Cinema is available wherever you listen to your podcast and on ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com. So grab your popcorn and soda. Please notice exits are available at the front and rear of the auditorium. And be sure to check out Forgotten Cinema.
Hey there, this is John from Pino Comics.
And I'm Lloyd, also from Pino Comics.
And I'm the other John, and you get it by now. As you may know, we sometimes use language on this show that can be described as...
Filthy.
Okay.
Reprehensible?
Crude?
Sure.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. We all know that it's just plain out gutter talk.
You've been warned. Listen in.
Good one.
That was better than yours anyway. Oh, man. It's Pina Comics back at you again for another week of fun in the sun. I don't know, hot times in the city.
In the cold sun.
Yeah. February sun.
Yeah.
Not that bad this year, though, because you know what? We don't have a lot of snow.
No,
That's all I care about.
I love having no snow for the
That's
winter.
all I care about. So we got the Manster here with us.
Right here.
Manster, Ganache. Sir John is away on, I think he's at TotalCon 34.
34 it is?
Yeah, 34th. It's a gaming convention up in Marlborough, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Good time for everybody. If you're a Dungeons and Dragons, a RPG tabletop guy, which John certainly is.
Sir John is, yeah.
He certainly is. Special guest tonight on The Pint. This is a long time coming. We've got local filmmaker Kurt Spieler. Kurt, do you prefer Kurt or Curtis?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I go by
I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah. You know what I like about your name is, and I'm not going to say, I won't use the word, but you've got a really good World War II villain name. Okay?
Well, it's very German.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't want to use the word.
Right.
But, you know, I could picture a movie being like, you know, send them to Kurt Spieler's office.
Well, it was originally supposed to be Kurt, but then a Curtis married into the family. Or, sorry, I said that backwards. It was originally supposed to be Kurt, and then a Kurt married into the family. And so my mom just, when I was born, tagged on the IS. And was like, yeah, it's Curtis now. So it's spelled with a K, which is rare.
And you got the K.
Yeah.
The K, like Curtis is
That's
a good name.
Good one.
But no offense to C. Curtises out there. K. Curtis is where it's at.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing another episode with you. We're going to get into, on the next episode, your films. We're going to talk a lot about that stuff.
Okay.
But if you want right now, is there a website or anything people can go check out if they wanted to start digging into your filmography?
Invasiveimage.com. We haven't updated in a while because, you know, that's always the last thing that gets done.
Right.
But yeah. And you'll get an idea of what we're doing from there. 2
features out already, and your third is coming.
Yes.
Okay. We will talk about that more on the next show.
All right.
Beautiful way to get people to come back to that next show.
That's right.
But we also have to do this show, which is going to take 9 hours.
So, come on.
So about 7 years ago, I think, I don't know if it was me or Laura, I had an idea.
7 or 8 years
7 or 8 years ago to let's do a show where we take our favorite movie scenes that are set to popular music. So not a scene set to a score from the film, but something that's set to, say, a pop song or a rock song or a country song or a rap song that you just particularly love. Okay, so I guess if I'm going to go with the broad idea for anybody out there is think about the Bohemian Rhapsody scene in Wayne's World. Whether that's on one of our lists, who knows? But I think that's a pretty good idea of a scene, you know. Right. And it doesn't mean either that the ones we're doing where the characters don't have to interact with it either. Right. It's just set to that.
Head banging in the car. You got Queen playing on the stereo. It's awesome.
And I think I go to that one a lot because in the last, like, say, 25 years, that's probably one of the, I guess, shining light,
right.
You know, whether you
and
like it or not.
How many times do you hear Bohemian Rhapsody now and not bang your head because of that?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, too, Bohemian Rhapsody was a 20-year-old song that had kind of run its course, and it became this whole thing again.
Right. It got rejuvenated.
And that can happen. And some of the things I'm sure we're going to talk about tonight that did happen. So the reason we have to start this show quick is because initially I thought I had said we're going to do 5 each.
He's going to blame it on me.
No, I'm going to blame it on Curtis for the K. No. We were going to do 5 each, and you guys are exuberant, and you're like, I got 10. I can easily make my list 10. So we are going to do 10 each.
Nice.
And then at the end of the show,
I think you'll appreciate it.
I think so too. At the end of the show, in about 6 hours when this rolls out, when it's all done, I've got a couple of our friends, listeners, fellow podcasters. I'm going to read their 5 lists. I got their 5 lists. Larry Dwyer, who we love, Scary Larry. I gave him the idea to do this, and he just kept texting me back. He goes, "I can't do less than 20." he's like, I'm going to do 5, but I'm giving you 10. I said, "Give me 8." So I have 8 from Larry. Right. So we'll do that. Let's just start off. Let's start talking about it. The movie, the scene, and the song, and 10 through 2. We're not going to rank this.
No order here.
But
just randomly.
As of right now, number 1, I think we're going to try to make our current number 1. Because the other thing that's really hard about this, and Curtis mentioned it, is what?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Sometimes I don't. I forget that I'm not. We're not.
You forgot you had that conversation in your own head.
Yeah.
Right.
No. One of the things that's hard about this is that we're going to realize after the show's over that we missed some.
Oh, right.
And then if you ask us to do the show a year later, which maybe we could do. Maybe we could do part 2. It's going to be all different.
You might have 10 different ones.
You might have 10 different ones. So this is as of right now, February 21st, 2021. 2020. Holy fuck. I don't know what happened there. I just jumped
2020.
ahead. Yeah, so as of February 21st, these are our top 10 scenes. And we're all movie guys. Curtis obviously is a fucking movie guy. Curtis works for, besides being a director, he works for Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah. So he does a ton of stuff restoring movies and everything. So I'm going to start with our guest, Kurt.
All right. So somebody's got to have this on their list. This is why I'm just going to start with this one.
All right.
Reservoir Dogs. Anybody? No?
Are we going to say whether we have it or not?
I think we can, because that way when we get to it, we can kind of we can add to his now and then skip it.
I know that it's on John's list.
It's not.
It's not.
It is not.
All right.
So it's not on
It's on my honorable mention list.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I started off with that one because that's the one that I think for me, as I don't know, I guess I must have been like 12 or so when I saw Reservoir Dogs. That is the first time that sort of I would call ironic music sort of stuck out to me.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure people know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, there is a torture scene where
we don't have to worry about spoiling it, right?
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the characters, Mr. Blonde, played by Michael Madsen, tortures a cop, and he does so to the song "Stuck in the Middle with You" by Steelers Wheel. You can't not think of that scene when you hear that song now.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
I think that's why I wanted to start with that one, because it's in popular culture, and so many people have said that when they hear that song now, they automatically think of that scene, and I think that's what kind of this whole thing is about.
I think that's what makes it on this list.
Yeah, that's what I feel this whole thing is about, is when like the music makes the scene so much better or so much more impactful than it would have been without that music, or makes you think of that music every time you hear it. So that's my first one, Reservoir Dogs, Stuck in the Middle with You.
It's on my honorable mentions. I only didn't include it in my list because I was kind of at the same time as making the list trying to think about what maybe might be on your lists. And I knew there was no way that 3 of us would sit here and that would not be on a list.
Right.
Well, that's why I almost didn't put that one, because I was like, it's going to be on somebody's.
Yeah.
And this is where like my 5 turned into, because originally, we talked 5, 10, whatever. But my 5 turned into 10 because I was like, well, I have like 5 honorable mentions.
Right.
So, and I cheated on a few, and we'll talk about that when we get to them.
I cheat on all of my lists,
Yeah,
so you could expect that from me.
You're a list scumbag. Yeah. All right, man,
a list
sir.
cheater.
Speaking of list cheaters, what is the number 10 on your list?
All right, so I'll go with, I'm going to call it The Printer. I'm going to have a title for each one of mine.
Okay.
The Printer.
Yeah.
From 1999, Office Space.
Yeah.
It's called Still, I guess, is a song by Ghetto Boys. And, these guys are working this fucking just lame-ass job for this Imatech Corporation. They're frustrated with their career path. I hope I didn't take someone's number 1.
You took mine.
Damn it.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. That's what's great about this.
Yeah.
You took my number 1, but that's okay.
So, they got frustrations. They got a pointless career. It's just fucking hilarious. And they all go out there puffing their chest out, beating the hell out of this printer with a baseball bat. And in Michael Bolton's case, he's punching it, He's
punching it like with his, he's destroying this fucking piece of machinery with his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they get back to the house and they're still doing some, hip hop dancing in the house.
What I love about Mike Judge as a filmmaker, and he does this on Silicon Valley, which is his TV show on HBO that just ended, is he takes these situations, right? So you got like a bunch of like kind of middle-aged, mostly white guys in an office environment, young kids in Silicon Valley in like this computer tech environment.
Yeah.
And he gives them these incredible hip hop soundtracks.
Right.
That don't necessarily fit.
Well,
And-
it was the 90s.
Yeah.
In the 90s, everybody listened to hip hop.
Yeah,
Whether you
and-
wanted to or not.
And I think with this movie, I think a lot of people would maybe point out, maybe it's still on someone's list. A lot of people might point out the "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster" scene, because that's a brilliant scene too, and that's longer. And that song is a little bit more well known.
Right.
It's the scene where they're like kind of getting all their shit together to start that stealing the money from the company. But you got my number one.
I'm sorry.
I'm cool with that.
I really am sorry.
I'm cool with that.
I hate to take a number one.
Die, motherfucker! Die, motherfucker! Die! It's brilliant.
I actually when that movie came out, I found that song and actually bought that album on CD.
Yeah.
I didn't really listen to the rest of it, but I listened to that song over and over and over
That's
again.
awesome.
It's brilliant. It's totally brilliant. All right, so my number one is gone before my number 10 comes out, but that's cool. That's cool. So I didn't have everything written down to 10, so I'm going to start with my number 10. All right, I'm going to go with Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
Okay. All right, the battle scene on the Rainbow Bridge at the end, set to dun 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 dun, the immigrant song. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I don't think necessarily I like the Marvel movies, fine, MCU movies, I'm a fan. And they've done some cool things with some songs here and there, but that scene just fucking rocks. It kind of starts with the Asgardian ship, and you've got Hela and her forces coming down the bridge, and it's Thor, and he's all missing a fucking eye.
Yeah.
And his ragtag crew walking down the bridge. You got Valkyrie and Loki and the Hulk, and then it just fucking takes off into this incredible battle scene while they're fighting on the bridge, and Thor is fighting off like Hela and her forces. The fucking Hulk is fighting Fenris the Wolf in the water and ripping its fucking mouth open. It's just a great battle scene. And that song, I mean...
It's the perfect Viking song.
It is the perfect Viking song. And as far as... Led Zeppelin isn't one of those bands that you really hear a whole... that song's been used
Not
before.
very much.
That song was used to great
That was
effect in
in,
School of Rock.
It was also in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
yeah.
Okay.
So the trailer, especially, was really well
It
used.
was a really different, like more of a synthesizer take on it.
Okay. But yeah, there's not really much more to say about it. It's definitely, for me, my number 10. But it's a great scene. It's a great song.
Yeah.
And again, right, you think of Vikings, you think of like marching into battle, and just the Jimmy Page riff, and just everything. It's incredible.
Valhalla, I am coming.
Yeah. Yeah, the lyrics.
Didn't they use it earlier in the movie too?
I think they use
beginning?
it. I think they used it once before.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm particularly going with the
the
Rainbow
bridge.
Bridge battle. Yeah.
See, I'm surprised with Marvel you didn't go, what is it? I'm Just a Girl from Captain Marvel? You didn't go with that one? That's not your...
I won't be
Oh my
going
God.
with anything from Captain Marvel.
Sorry, I had to go there.
Oh wow,
I apologize.
that was a good dig.
All right, Kurt, you're number 9.
All right, so I realized something just now, that none of mine are comedies.
Oh, okay. All right.
They are all pretty much violent or horror or something along those
You
lines.
are. I don't want to put you in a box, but
Well,
you are a horror director.
Yeah,
And you work for a company that's kind of known for
horror
and
and
exploitation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise that maybe you don't spend a lot of time. Do you watch comedies a lot or no?
I do. They're not my favorite genre,
Right.
but I do. Well, it's just when I think of this, it's automatically I think of almost ironic music because, again, starting with Reservoir Dogs, that's exactly why. Because it's not a song that you would imagine to like a torture scene, you know?
Right.
So with that,
But it is played off as a comedy, sort of.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
Well, which is exactly why I'll go right into my number 9, which is American Psycho.
Ooh,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, hip to be square.
Yeah.
yeah.
Huey Lewis in the news. Yeah, so spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, Christian Bale plays a psycho, maybe not. And it's for you to decide. And he kills Jared Leto with an axe.
Yes.
And as he does that, he is playing the song Hip to Be Square. But not only does he play the song, but he gives a whole explanation while he's like... That's another thing when I was doing this list. It was like, is it source music, like music that's happening that the characters can hear, or is it,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like, because it's really two different things
Yep.
when the music is just playing over the scene versus when it's actually part of the scene.
Yeah, and I think I tried to explain it. however it works. It could be the characters in the scene actually singing along with it in the movie.
Right, yeah.
It could be playing in the movie, or it could be playing over the soundtrack of the movie.
Right. So in this one, it's very much playing in the scene, and he comments on it. And as he's commenting on it, and he's like walking around getting ready for the murder.
Putting on a poncho.
Yeah, he's putting on a poncho so he doesn't get blood on him, and it's hilarious if you have a dark sense of humor, and that's the whole point of the scene. So yeah,
It's been a while since I saw that movie.
I saw it once when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty dark.
Yes, it's super dark, and it's one of those movies that ends and you don't know.
right.
I mean, you're leaning towards something, but you don't know. All right, Manster, you're number 9.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah. Is it my number 2?
This is taking it in a different direction. No, I don't think it's going to be on anyone's list. And I'm going to call it Phoebe.
Phoebe. Oh.
1982.
Moving in Stereo.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The song is Moving in Stereo. When Judge Reinhold, I forget his character's name. Brad. Yeah. He goes into the bathroom in his house. He comes home from work. Phoebe Cates and her friends are like swimming out in the pool.
Linda.
And she's she's on a diving board, and he just starts imagining things in his head that she goes in the water, she comes out, Moving in Stereo is playing, and she's topless. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And he's
Cates
masturbating.
Topless, and he's masturbating.
And in real life, she walks in.
In real life, she gets water in her ear. She goes in the house looking for a Q-tip and barges in on him. What does he say? Christ, doesn't anyone knock?
Doesn't anyone knock? Yeah. Yeah, Moving in Stereo by the Cars, right?
By the Cars, yeah. That song is not on the soundtrack, but it just lends, it's such a dirty, sexy, new wavy feel, it's perfect. It's so good.
Well, speaking of perfect, 1982.
1982, I'm a teenager.
Every time
I mean, who hasn't masturbated to Phoebe Cates?
Hey, I'm not going to lie. I know that for sure. When I was a kid, I was in love with her in Gremlins, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was so in love with her because she's so pretty. And she's one of those actresses that, like, she stopped after a while. She just kind of stopped, I think she still does a lot of things, I think producing and stuff like that. She's married to Kevin Kline, but yeah, that's a great choice.
I have not seen her much lately.
No. That's a great choice. Yeah.
Thank you.
For all those people out there snapping it off to Phoebe Cates.
We'll pause right now. Go snap one off.
Go, if you've never seen it, I strongly urge that you snap one off to Phoebe Cates in a red bikini in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Once again, that was not on my list.
You can YouTube that, by the way, if you want to see it.
Well, but it won't show you the...
Sure, they will.
Do they really
yes,
on YouTube?
It will. Yep.
Do you pay for YouTube Red? You pervert?
I found out I do pay for YouTube Red, but just incidentally because I buy the Google Music Play service,
all right.
and that's included.
All right, so my number, my last numbers are tough because I don't have them because these guys decided at the last minute to throw a monkey wrench in here. But,
right, we did.
All right, you know what? My number 9 is going to be this is from 2004, I think. It's a little movie called Harold and Kumar Go to the White Castle.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic fucking scene. Again, we talked about the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody scene in Wayne's World, and it really can't be done again, but these guys did as good of a job as doing something similar. They just stopped a robbery at a convenience store. There's these like extreme skater guys that keep on like harassing them through the whole movie. Extreme, they keep yelling, "You're not extreme enough." They're rollerbladers, they're all this stuff. They steal their vehicle because they're at the point where they have to fucking get to White Castle. They steal their vehicle, and when they get in the car, and there's a lot of tension between these two guys, John Cho and fuck, what's the other guy's name? Fuck, I'm gonna think of it in a minute. He's great though. There's a lot of tension between them. It's been a long night, and they pick up a tape, and it's Extreme Mix.
Yeah.
And they put it in, and I can't remember the first song, but the second song that comes on is Hold On by Wilson Phillips.
Oh, okay.
And as they're driving, trying to get to the White Castle, they let it play. And it's this great scene where neither one of them wants to look at each other and admit that they love this song.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like, they're kind of feeling each other out and moving their heads and looking over and like, and then it gives you that like little like 5-second forward and they're fucking, no thing, they're just right into it. And I've always loved that scene.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, it's great.
But that sounds hilarious.
It's great. It's right before Neil Patrick Harris, I think, steals that vehicle or whatever happens. A great movie, and it's just a fun scene. And again, there's not a lot of scenes that you can think of that could kind of replicate that Wayne's World feel.
Yep.
And it does a great job. And if you've never seen Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, it's truly it's a great movie. It's a really fun movie. So, all right, so we're going this way. Kurt, number 8.
All right. I was hoping there would be like some kind of transition for me, so I'm just gonna jump into one here. I'm gonna go with Insidious as my next one.
Ooh,
So Insidious 2010, the song Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I saw that once and I didn't really care for that movie.
Well,
Wait, who's the star in that? The guy?
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And Rose,
Yep.
beautiful Rose Byrne. I love her.
Yeah, so Tiptoe Through the Tulips by the one and only Tiny Tim. So, very creepy voice and very creepy song. One of the reasons why I put this one on here was for that reason. Even if you didn't like the movie, that song is now synonymous with that movie, you know? So, and like Tiny Tim was just a weird character. Actually,
He was totally weird, that
Yeah.
guy.
yeah, I'm actually going to plug Vinegar Syndrome right now.
All right,
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead.
Go for it.
We have a movie, Blood Harvest, which was a horror movie made in the 80s with Tiny Tim in it.
Oh, wow.
And so there's, we found some archival footage and stuff like that from behind the scenes stuff. And like, he was definitely a weird dude, you know? So I know, and it's really weird because he played for kids and all that
Yeah, I
kind of
remember
thing.
seeing him when I was a kid, you know,
Yeah.
TV and stuff.
Yeah. But it's like this really innocent song, or at least it's supposed to be, but it very much doesn't sound like one. And so the minute you put it into a horror movie, forget it.
Another juxtaposition.
And what is the scene it plays over?
Well, I think it plays a couple of times, if I remember right. But the main scene is because it all revolves around a demon, and there's a scene near the end, like it's basically like astral projection. So they're in like the demon's lair in like another like alternate universe, I guess I would say. And so they're in the demon's lair, and he's in there sharpening his nails, and there's like puppets dancing, and it's all this like crazy imagery.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can too.
Yeah.
And that song is playing on like an old record player. So
He's got like a grinding wheel like the Flintstones.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the only thing I remember about that movie was the one scene that really did creep me out. And I think it was maybe in the trailers too. I think it's Patrick Wilson, and then like you just see the guy's head.
oh yeah, right behind him.
Looks like
Oh,
Darth
yeah,
Maul.
yep.
But he just kind of peeks out from behind him, and
Yep.
I'm like, holy. And I just remember seeing the film and not being that like I didn't love it. But who the fuck am I? I mean, they made like 7 of them now or something like that, right?
3 of them, but
3.
yeah. Well, it's funny because everybody brings up the Darth Maul thing that he kind of looks like. I mean, it's true, he does. But I guess if you watched behind the scenes, the explanation for the red face was it's supposed to be lipstick. Like he smears like lipstick
like
on
Robert
his
Smith
face.
style.
Yeah, so I don't know, which I guess makes it extra creepier.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so anytime I hear that song now, it very much makes me think of that.
That's where
movie,
you go.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Lloyd, what number are we on for you?
I have no idea what number. but
That was
let me-
his 8, and he started, so this is your 8.
All right, I'll go with this one. I'll call it In the Church. 2014
yeah.
movie.
I knew somebody was going to do this one.
Yeah. Kingsman.
It's on my list.
Freebird.
Yeah.
By Leonard Skinner. What's the guy's name? Anyway, he's an agent.
Colin Firth.
Yeah.
He goes into this church and just this nonstop, frantic murder.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so brutal.
And I hate that song, but I love that scene.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
go
you
ahead,
off.
go ahead.
Well, I wondered if anybody was going to bring that up with Freebird, whether it was going to be Kingsman or whether it was going to
Devil's
be
Rejects.
Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I avoided both of those for that very reason. It's not
Yeah.
my favorite song either, but I thought it worked well in
It
that
works
scene.
so good in that scene. And I think that's got to be in the top 10 at least of most brutal murder scenes in a film.
Oh, it's insane. And it takes
Yeah,
place in a church.
Yeah.
In a church.
Yeah.
And he's killing people in so many different
And he's-
crazy ways. It's nonstop. It's like a ballet.
And he's essentially killing
know?
innocent people. I
Yes,
mean, they're brainwashed. They're
Yeah.
going to kill him, so he's got to do something. But
Well,
yeah.
they're brainwashed, but they did a good job of making them bad people. Like
Yes.
they're like sort
Right.
of the West Baptist, Westboro
Yeah,
Baptist church kind
Yeah.
of people. And it's also done in like one take. It's a faux one take. They obviously put it together and made it appear like one take. But anything that takes place in like a one take kind of style is always like way more intense and
Oh
brutal.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you got the people, it does cut away to his companions that
Yeah.
are like watching it on
Watching it,
video,
yeah.
and you could just see their facial reactions to what he's doing, and
I think one of the best parts about that whole thing, too, is that, I mean, I'm not super familiar with him, but Colin Firth is not known as an action dude.
No.
Right.
He's like the King's Speech. He's like that British actor who like kind of plays like your mom's boyfriend. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Like, and he does this thing where he is the centerpiece of this incredible several minute long,
Bloodbath.
bloodbath.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's on my list. So.
He would have made a good Bond, actually.
Yeah,
After seeing that movie, I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh shit, they never cast him as a
Yeah,
Bond,
that's a
and they
good
should
idea.
have.
Yeah. I don't think he has the. I think he's too. I don't want to say soft looking, but he doesn't have you got to look like Daniel Craig kind of to play Bond. You know, at this point, I think they wanted to
guess,
look a little bit
I
more
see what you
dangerous.
mean.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
jaw.
well,
But,
I mean,
you
like,
know, Pierce
Bond,
Brosnan didn't have that look.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been a good Bond during that era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I could see that. I don't see him as good looking as Pierce Brosnan, and I
Right.
think that was part of the thing at that point. And
Yep.
now with Daniel Craig, it's like you've got to kind of have that danger element to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to make it easy because it was going to end up in my top 10. That's my number 8.
All right.
So Kurt, number 7.
Oh, okay. You're skipping right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, because I will just
Yeah.
say my number 8 was Kingsman, Freebird, Leonard Skinner.
Okay. In no particular order, I'm going to throw out American Werewolf in London. Anybody?
The
so-
Van
I'm
Morrison
trying to
song.
think.
Well, Blue Moon during the transition
Blue
scene.
Moon.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Bobby Vinton's version of Blue Moon, which is a little bit slower than the I forget who did the Marcel's did the original, I believe.
Is it playing in the scene where he's reading and then he turns?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, because they use a lot of music in that movie, and it all has to do with either a full moon or something like that. But that particular scene, the transformation scene, is such an epic scene to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the makeup effects are insane.
That was Rick Baker.
That was Rick Baker, yeah. And so, the transformation as he's turning into a werewolf happens with Blue Moon playing. And I like the fact that they didn't use the Marcel's version, that they used the Bobby Vinton version, because it's a little bit slower, which makes it a little bit creepier. But it's also, once again, there's like an irony to the whole thing. So, once again,
Yeah, especially with the moon, obviously with the werewolf.
yeah. So,
A lot of people have done that song, but
I just love that scene, and I love that movie. I'm not making fun of it, but I love that scene because he's just quietly reading, and then he throws the book across the room and falls down. It's like, God damn it!
Yeah,
it's so out of nowhere.
out of nowhere, yeah. He just screams and falls on the ground,
Yeah.
and then starts changing. And you're like, oh, okay, this is happening now.
Yeah. And one of the greatest transformation scenes of anything ever in the history of cinema. As a matter of fact, I wanted to ask you.
yeah,
Kurt,
what else would compare to that?
There's not much. I mean, and it was practical effects.
Yeah.
Did you get? I know you're obviously a big horror guy, a big fan, other than being working in the industry. I saw recently Rick Baker came out with like these 2 giant books. Did you pick those up? Have you seen those?
No.
They're expensive as hell, but it's like the career retrospective of Rick Baker.
Oh.
It's 2 big books, but I
2
think they're-
big tomes,
I think
huh?
they're like $150 each.
Huh.
A couple of months ago on like Instagram when they were coming out, some of my friends were like posting that they came in, and it's like this. I guess it's his book actually. Like he's putting it out.
Oh, okay.
But it covers his whole career. I guess because technically now he's retired.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
been for a while. Yeah. I think he was living in Connecticut for a while.
Oh, really?
Or no, actually, I'm sorry. That was, Dick Smith, I think, was living
Oh,
in
okay.
Connecticut.
All right.
Yeah, not Rick Baker. Anyway.
All right. Well, I was gonna say if Rick Baker's in Connecticut, man, you got to lure him out of
No,
retirement.
wrong one. But
All right, Manster, number 7.
All right. This one's a little different, I think, than anything we've done yet. The opening credits, which probably a lot of different songs can work for that. But 2009 Watchmen movie, The Times They Are Changing by Bob Dylan.
All right.
You've got the song just plays. They're showing all these the scenes of, the people that were superheroes. They were protectors, and they're becoming abusers. And you see all these brutal things in there, and it seems like the song was just made for that particular scene.
Yeah.
yeah, so
They did a great job.
So
Was
I
it
put-
Zack Snyder.
I put that one on my list, but that was like one of the ones where I was considering it maybe kind of not part of the list because I didn't know if we include credit sequences or
Oh, yeah.
not because that's
it'll work.
it's kind of a whole different thing. But
I think as long as you're seeing something visually other than words,
If it's in the
I
film,
think it
as long
works.
as it's not end credits where nothing's happening.
right, well,
Yeah.
and that's one of the best opening credit sequences
yeah.
in recent memory. I mean, I just every once in a while I'll put that movie on just to watch
Just
the
to
opening.
watch that, yeah.
And then sometimes I watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's brutal because it
get a little extra time.
Yeah,
it
like
does a
4
great
hours.
job. Yeah, it does a great job of setting up the world we're in,
Yeah.
the state of the world we're in, this alternate 1985. It's showing you the formation of these mass vigilante groups, and then it's got like these really great little like the tanks coming through Russia with, with Fidel Castro there, and the craziest one to me is just I think
puts the flower.
the flower, and
Yeah,
then the
the
barrel of the
flower,
gun,
yeah.
and then the gun
Yeah.
going off.
Yeah, there's so many nice sequences in there.
Yeah.
And what I like about that too, you guys being big comic fans, if you've obviously read the graphic novel,
Yep.
I like that there's a lot of like hidden gems for the fans that obviously couldn't make it into the movie. Like I love how the guy has his cape stuck in the revolving door.
Right, yeah.
And there's a whole story behind that if you've
Yeah.
read the graphic novel, but it's just kind of put in in the opening credits for the fans. And I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I'll be honest.
It's a good movie.
I think Zack Snyder is a good filmmaker. I just think he got stuck in the DC rut. But that's a great scene. I don't have that on mine, but I knew someone would have that.
Well, so what's funny is
that's me.
I put that on my list, but then I actually said I was going to talk about, where is it? Unforgettable. The Nat King Cole song, which is in that movie as well, which happens after the opening credits.
Okay, yeah.
So that was like kind of my, if credits don't really count, I'm going to throw Unforgettable in there because once the movie starts, the comedian is in his room.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess it's his apartment.
Right,
his penthouse. And a killer, who you find out
Whoever
later who
that
it is,
is.
comes in and they have this epic fight scene to Unforgettable, which...
Right.
Once again, anything where it's like violent and then has like an ironic song to it at the same time, especially like 50 songs. So I don't know. I always find 50 love songs to be
And there's
like,
more songs in that movie that you could pick as well.
well, even like Hallelujah during the sex scene. Yeah. I mean, that whole movie. So I kind of put Watchmen on there as like, we're just going to talk about Watchmen.
Right, there you go.
Okay, that works. That works. All right, that was back to me for number 7. 500 Days of Summer. You ever see that?
I've heard of it.
All right, so 500 Days of Summer is one of the rare, I guess what you'd call romantic comedies that I like. Okay. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I like a lot. He's just one of those guys, he's always good and stuff. And Zooey Deschanel, who I don't really like a lot. But it's this movie told in a weird time structure. And the idea of the movie is boy meets girl at work. They date, they fall in love. But as the movie starts, you're starting from a point where they've broken up. And he's heartbroken over her. And she's not heartbroken over him. And long story short, in the end of the movie, you come to find out, and it's great because it's true. It's true to life. Just because I feel this way about you doesn't mean your feelings were strong for me.
Right.
That's the idea of the whole movie.
That's life.
He's hung up on her, and she gets over him easily. And it's 500 days. It's supposed to be the 500-day period from the time they dated afterwards to the point where he moves on. In the middle of the movie, you get a scene where he sleeps with her for the first time.
Okay.
So he takes her home and she invites him inside, and there's no sex scene or anything. But the next scene is this incredible scene of Joseph Gordon-Levitt walking to work like a guy who just got laid for the first time.
Just happy, clicking his heels.
And it's set to Hall & Oates' You Make My Dreams Come True.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to get to that.
He dances, everybody in the street dances with him.
Yeah.
There's a fucking great scene where he walks by a car and he looks into the car window and the reflection is Han Solo. Like it's all these things that like guys feel when they're feeling a certain way.
Yeah. I think I saw a clip of this before.
All of these I'm going to try to put on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. I'm going to try to put as many of these as I can.
I actually have mine as a YouTube playlist.
Okay, so put the
maybe
playlist up.
Yeah, put that up.
But that one scene, it's just this really well choreographed, kind of strange, guy in love scene.
Yeah.
And at one point someone hands him a bat and he hits an imaginary home run and they put him on his shoulders and he's just this guy that's super happy to be alive.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the movie doesn't go that way necessarily, but fucking great scene. And I love Hall & Oates. Come on, don't lie.
No, Hall & Oates is
lie.
good.
You work for Vinegar Syndrome. You kind of might have some hardcore credit. You like Hall & Oates, right?
Yeah. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does. When you get to a certain age, you stop hiding that shit. No, I don't like Hall & Oates.
Hall &
That's
Oates.
weak. That's weak ass shit. No,
Absolutely.
It's great. All right, Kurt, I think we're at your number 6.
Well, I mean, my Watchmen was kind of in there, so I don't know if you want to skip and come around or you want me to just go to another one.
Oh, well, no, your Watchmen was your...
Yeah, my Watchmen would have been this next one. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so you go... Well, we're going to have 10, right?
Yeah.
So what would be your number 6 then?
All right, so once again, going with credit sequences, and we talked about this, and I was like, it's kind of at the end credits, but not really, is Fight Club, Where's My Mind by the Pixies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I put it on. That was one just dangling there. Like,
Yeah.
Can I put this? Can I not? So I took it off. So
Yeah, well, because obviously it plays over the end credits, but it starts...
Oh,
You're wrong shirt?
Wrong shirt. I thought I wore my Pixie shirt.
Oh, really? Yeah, so, obviously, I don't know, this is a big spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, but at the end of the movie, after this whole violent, crazy movie, there's these two people, and they hold hands, as a bunch of buildings explode and they watch them together. And Where's My Mind plays by the Pixies, and it's
giving me chills right now just hearing you talk about it.
I
love that
I
scene.
laughed out loud in the theater. It was like the perfect ending. Plus, there's a certain flash of a one frame at the very end of the movie, which I won't ruin for anybody. But it was a brilliant way to end a movie. And even though it's only a short amount of time before it rolls out into the credits, is perfect. And you can't once again hear that song now without thinking of that.
So, and speaking of that song has worked very well in a couple other things. One of them being the HBO show The Leftovers. They did a fantastic job using that song, and also Mr. Robot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in there. Not the lyrics. I don't think it was all just the music.
Well, what is? I'm trying to think. What is the line that he says to her? You met me at a very strange time in my life.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, his face is half blown off because he essentially kills Tyler Durden, trying to kill, take him out of his life, out of his brain. Yeah, that is a great scene.
Yeah,
that is a great scene. That totally works because it does. It plays through the credits, but it's in the movie.
Yeah. It's such it's such a great reaction. I mean, that whole movie has a lot of irony, and there's like dark violence, and then like ironic comedy and all this stuff going on. But it was such a perfect way to end a movie. Like I walked out of the theater and I could not stop laughing. I just thought it was brilliant.
It was great, and I'm so glad you picked it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think if Sir John was here, he might be rolling his eyes or
Sir
groaning.
John would be rolling his eyes, and our friend, Stu from Ghost of the Stratosphere, he fucking hates Fight Club.
Why?
I don't know.
It was,
Whether you hate the movie or not, it's still a great scene.
Yeah.
Well, for me, like 90s movies, because I was a teenager in the 90s, so like all those movies resonate really well with me, you know. And so I don't know. I know that song is what 88 it came out, I think. If
It has to be
it's
late
around
80s,
there.
it's earlier than the 90s, but to me it feels like such a 90s song. I feel like it was used a lot in
It
the 90s.
might have been before then.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, the reason you feel that way is because, like, especially if you think about the early 90s, Nirvana based so much of their music and career on the Pixies. So, like, the Pixies, even though they were, like, college rock and before the grunge happening, they were the template for that.
Oh, so good.
You know?
I saw Pixies about in December.
Yeah, you went.
And they played Where's My Mind? I lost it.
That's awesome, right? College
great.
Street, right?
Yeah, College Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, Lloyd, you're
I'm up.
number 6.
My guard is falling over here. All right, I'm gonna go. Have we done one that was just a funny scene yet?
We've done stuff from like Hold On, like Wilson Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Harold and Kumar.
All right. So here's a really funny scene. I'm gonna cheat a little as well on this one.
All right.
So it's my first cheat. But I'm gonna here's my the title is gonna call Playa. All right. 2008. I know you know this movie.
Okay.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh.
You know, I'm
The
going to be.
scene with Tom Cruise.
Oh,
And he's doing his dance. He's
Yeah.
bald-headed Tom Cruise, and he's doing his movements. He's singing this song. You got Bill Hader in the background.
what is
saying
the
all
song?
these
It's
funny- well, there's two. The one that I think Get Low by Flo Rida. That's the one in the movie. And then there's an end credit where
end credits,
he does more dancing and stuff. And that one's Get Back by Ludacris. And both of these, he's just kind of freelancing it, and he's slapping, he's doing all these movements, and he just looks so non-Tom Cruise.
right.
Yeah.
You know, he's got the ball, he's got like a weak chin. He somehow pulls his chin in.
He demanded, because he's friends with Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller does an incredible Tom Cruise impersonation, if you've never seen it. But when he asked him to be in the movie, he said, I'll do it. He goes, I got like 3 rules. I have to be fat and bald.
Yep.
I have to have like fat hands. Like, give me big, like his hands are like prosthetics to an extent. And I've got to dance.
Yeah.
And Ben Stiller's like, it wasn't how it was written, but I rewrote it because it's fucking Tom Cruise.
Right. It's Tom Cruise. You do what he says.
You do what he says. You know, whether you like Tom Cruise or not, he's the boss, basically, you know, kind of in Hollywood. I mean, so you do it. Yeah, no, I'll be honest.
It's a fucking hilarious
I'll
scene.
be totally honest. I really do like Tropic Thunder. I've maybe seen that twice ever.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that just never, like, and I do like it. Ben Stiller's a good director and everything. If I had to pick a Ben Stiller movie to watch multiple, it's The Cable Guy. I've just always loved that one. I love that movie.
It's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like Tropic Thunder.
So to
Funny
add
movie.
to my cheat, because I just kind of put in 2 scenes there. To add further to this, I'm going to say Old Time Rock and Roll.
No.
Yeah. It's Tom Cruise dancing. He can dance.
All right.
He's
Okay.
good in dancing scenes.
All right.
That's it.
Somehow you've turned this into 11 now.
That's all right.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
I had like 3 from The Watchmen, so
Yeah.
All right. I've got to stop being such a rule stickler.
Yep.
Number 6 for me.
I'm going to cheat like fuck on the next one.
All right. So my number 6 is going to be from the Devil's Rejects. All right. Now, we already talked about this. Freebird. It's not Freebird.
Not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. I love the opening credits scene to Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers Band. It is
trying to remember. I've only seen that movie once.
the movie starts and it's the raid on the Firefly ranch, whatever you want to call it, and it starts off with everything going crazy. Once the guns start to shoot, once the sheriffs start to shoot and shit hits the fan, the credit sequence is a bunch of freeze frames following the action of the Fireflies either being captured or getting away. The mother gets captured. The one of the brothers gets killed. Baby and Otis escape. Mm-hmm. So Midnight Rider starts playing, and it's just got that very cool, gritty 70s vibe that Rob Zombie does do well. I don't think a lot of his movies, but this one I love. It does do well. And it kind of like when you get to certain points, you'll get a freeze frame and you'll get like some of the credits. Mm-hmm. And they're escaping. They're going through sewer tunnels, kind of like coming out into a swamp area. They trick this nurse into they steal her car and they murder her. And it's just this great credit sequence. And the I guess what's the word I'm looking for? The feeling of it fits that song perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
The song is basically about getting away, and whatever the connotation of that song is, it fits really well. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So and that's the thing is even before we decided to do this, every time I'd ever talk to someone about the Devil's Rejects, they'd always go to the Freebird scene at the end. And the Freebird scene is cool, and it makes total sense. But to me, I always like that opening credit sequence more. It's more stylized, and it's just this cool. It's this cool little like. And again, you get what's his name as the sheriff in the beginning, Bill.
Forsyth.
William Forsythe, who I love, and it's just a great little scene. So that's my number 6. I'm going to go with that. Devil's
Another
Rejects.
opening credit.
Another great opening credit sequence. Curtis, now we're into our 5s now. So let's hit number 5.
All right, I'm gonna go with Blue Velvet, David Lynch movie.
Yep.
Any David Lynch fans?
I've seen Blue Velvet. I can't consider myself a David Lynch fan.
Okay.
I've tried. Someone said to me one time, "You got to watch Lost Highway," and this was years ago, and I'm still not fucking sure what happened in that. Thing.
You'll never know. This Lost Highway, nobody knows. I don't think.
Let me, as a filmmaker, are you a David Lynch fan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that kind of bother you? Do you feel like it's like a cheat when even like some people say you're not supposed to understand that? Like, so is it at that point? Is it just art?
It's hard to say. I've debated this with a lot of people. I mean, Lost Highway, it's the one I've seen probably the least from him, other than some of like his newer stuff, like Inland Empire. I wasn't a big fan of, but like Lost Highway, it's just a tough one. And like, I wonder that myself. Like, if you look at Mulholland Drive, I think Mulholland Drive is a piece of art because there's enough to grab onto. You can understand what's happening. David Lynch obviously knew exactly what he was doing with that. I don't know. Did he know what he was doing with Lost Highway? I would assume he does, but I do have a problem with like why make a movie that nobody's going to understand.
Have you ever seen Lost Highway?
No, I haven't. And I honestly haven't seen a lot of David Lynch movies.
Blue Velvet, which I haven't seen in years, has a story.
Yeah.
There's weird things that happen in it. Has a story. Wild at Heart has a story.
Yeah, those are like his 2 most accessible
I'm
films.
pretty sure those are probably the only 2 I've seen.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen, was it Mulholland Drive again?
Yeah, Mulholland Drive.
I haven't even seen that.
Good lesbian scene in that one.
Well, like Mulholland Drive is that perfect.
That's another podcast.
Yeah. Well, that's his perfect balance between a movie that like sort of makes no sense, but makes enough sense for you to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But Lost Highway, I defy people to tell me what's happening in that fucking thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch it now just to see. But
there is a great scene. There is. I don't know if this is the scene you're I don't know if any music plays for, but the Robert Blake scene in that movie where he's at the party and he's just like, "I'm at your house right now."
Yeah.
That scene is like, even though I don't like that movie, it's one of those scenes I saw once and it's ingrained in my head.
Oh, okay.
Because it's so creepy.
Yeah.
He's so weird. And Robert Blake, Beretta.
Yeah, Beretta.
Bill Pullman is real quick just for this one scene. He's at a party and Robert Blake is like kind of dressed up like a mime almost. He has like pancake makeup on.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And he just comes over to him and he's like, starts talking to him. And then he's like, I'm at your house right now. And he's like, you're standing right in front of me. He goes, call me. And he calls his home phone and Robert Blake answers.
Yeah.
And he's like, how are you doing this? And it's just weird and creepy. YouTube it if you've never seen it.
Doesn't make sense.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then Bill Pullman becomes Balthazar Getty. He like becomes a kid. It's weird.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry, Craig. I want to throw that out there.
Well, no, that's fine. So anyway, Blue Velvet is the one that I was doing.
Oh, right. Yeah. See, I got so stuck in the David Lynch.
Yeah, you lose your own mind.
I lost my own mind.
But so what's interesting about Blue Velvet is not the title track. It's not Blue Velvet by Bobby Vinton. I could have used that as a good transition now that I think about that between Werewolf in London, but whatever. But there's a scene in Dreams by Roy Orbison. So I don't know if
I don't remember that.
I do know the song, but I don't know the scene.
All right. So like Roy Orbison, I think his songs are particularly creepy. You know, he's got that
you could
sound
see
to
that.
it.
He's got that weird sort of otherworldly sort of voice.
Yeah. So there's two scenes that song is used, and it's funny because considering the movie's called Blue Velvet, like Blue Velvet plays, I think, over the credits. I can't really remember, but In Dreams plays twice, and one of the scenes is once again a bizarre scene because it's David Lynch. But I'm drawing a blank on the character and the actor's name, but he played Ziggy on Quantum Leap.
Oh, Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
Dean Stockwell, yeah. So they go to Dean Stockwell's house, and it's kind of implied that he's sort of a pimp, and that there's these like maybe prostitutes in his house, but they're not like attractive prostitutes. And he's very sort of effeminate, and he has this like makeup on, and he sings into like basically a handheld light instead of a microphone, and it like lights his face really weird, and he basically lip syncs to In Dreams. Honestly, an amazing scene.
All right.
Like it's
I do.
This
know
got me
how
intrigued.
It's
I
that-
think I want to dial this one up.
it's that good kind of weird,
Yeah.
you know? And then the scene is used again, or that music is used again later when they're like beating the crap out of a guy. So it comes back a second time. But like that scene, when I think of David Lynch, I think of that scene.
Okay.
And so for me, it just resonates really well. And that's why I put that one on my list.
When I think of David Lynch, I think of the fact that George Lucas wanted him to direct Return of the Jedi.
Yes, yeah.
And he dodged a bullet.
Yeah, he did.
Because Ewoks would just be like, it wouldn't be like everybody hates them. Everybody would be like, what the fuck was up with those weird little bears that just like were floating in the background?
Well, what's your thoughts on Dune? Or is that a whole nother podcast?
No, well, you know what it was so growing up as a kid, I lived in an apartment complex that was above a twin movie theater. Right?
Oh.
Twin movie theater plaza. Not above it, but I mean, like, we lived behind a 5-minute walk to it.
Right.
And every weekend, me and my friends went to the movies repeatedly. It's like $3 to go see a movie. It was like $6 with like a snack and a drink or whatever. And I saw Dune in the theaters like 4 times. It is not a good movie, in my opinion. But it still has fond memories for me because I could see what they were trying.
Right.
And he hates it. He disowned the shit out of that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what they can do with it.
The new one.
The new one, yeah.
I'm excited.
And if you've never seen it, being a film guy, did you ever see Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary?
Yes. Yeah.
Fucking incredible.
Yes, yeah.
Incredible.
Really?
Yeah. If
I've never been able to stay awake through Dune.
Yeah,
Never.
And the crazy part is, in like the 90s or maybe late 80s, when it would play on TV, it was like a fucking longer version.
Oh, yeah.
It was like say it's 2 hours long.
It's like
it was
12
like
hours
3
with
hours
commercials.
long. Yeah, it was crazy. All right, number 5, Manster. What do you got?
This one could be the whole entire movie. You might know what I'm talking about. So I'll just call it the foot chase. One of the several scenes, but this is probably the best one in Baby Driver,
Oh, yeah.
2017 by Edgar Wright. The foot chase is to Hocus Pocus by Focus. It was basically just running away from cops and shooting everywhere. You know, you got that. I won't even attempt to sing that song because it's just way too hard. But everyone, you know, he's leaping across tables and this and that. And just as in the whole movie, every single action scene is choreographed to match the beats and the rhythms of the songs. So everything, stick shift, you know, matches a beat, changing lights, just everything.
Yeah, that movie
and it's
is-
really just amazing. And then you get to the part where there's a break in the song and it just does some yodeling, and then he's hiding behind the tree, just catching his breath. And then as soon as the song picks up, the action picks up, and then they go a little further, and there's gun shooting, and each shot is to the song. It's
Yeah.
incredible, and really the whole movie is like that.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. I didn't see it in the theaters, and me and my wife, Lindsay, we watched it on video, whatever,
Yeah.
when it came out. And I remember, I knew that I knew music was a big part of it because I remember the trailers. It was, he wears the headphones.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the soundtrack's going to be important. But I remember watching it and realizing the guns are firing to the beat. Like
Right.
this soundtrack is like fucking integrated with this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, which isn't easy to do.
I'm sure that's
I remember watching it in the theater. I've only seen it once, and I haven't really looked up like the behind the scenes, how they went about making the movie. But I was actually really curious if I'm assuming he had that song in mind first. Then they probably had to like storyboard out everything to
Right.
the beat. But I always wonder, like, what if you don't get the rights to the song? What happens then? I mean, I'm sure they secured that all ahead of
Yeah.
time. But like the amount of preparation that you have to do to do that is like really difficult. So
Astronomical,
yeah, I give him a lot of credit for that.
And even at the end of that scene, the scene with Hocus Pocus, the music is all done, and there's still shots being done, and the shots are still going to the the da 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 da
Right.
da, and they're still doing that even with no music.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That's
really
awesome.
cool. Oh, and there's one other scene in that Hocus Pocus scene where he's running away, and he goes into a mall, right? And he goes down the escalator, and he goes to another, and he goes into a clothing store, right? He picks up a hat and a sweatshirt, and there's like a seamless integration of there's a rap song playing. I don't know if it's the rap songs, outside. It's maybe the song playing in the store,
Yeah.
and it matches perfect time with the Hocus Pocus song. It's amazing. You should probably
I gotta
you can
watch it
YouTube
again.
that or watch the
Yeah.
movie again, but just pay close attention in that store.
I picked it up on Blu-ray,
Yeah.
when it was cheap not too long ago. So I've been wanting to watch it again. The person who ends up being the final villain in the movie.
Yep.
It just comes. It's so well done, and you don't see it early in the movie. I don't want to spoil that one. All right, number 5 for me. You mentioned before Reservoir Dogs. I think Tarantino does a great job
Oh yeah.
of this, and I think Reservoir Dogs will. Even for me, it's not my list. I took it off the list because I was kind of trying to not go with maybe what everybody else had. And that obviously is the iconic one he's ever had. But if I had to pick a secondary iconic one, I'm going with Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Jackrabbit Slim.
Yep.
The Chuck Berry. You Never Can Tell.
Oh yeah.
And it's just this. Again, it's not an action scene. You got John Travolta as Vincent Vega, the
Just dancing.
hitman, and Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace, the boss's wife.
Vega.
Yeah, and you just get this great scene where there's obviously this weird sexual tension between them, and he's kind of her watcher for the night, and she tells him, "I want to dance." And here you go, 15 years after Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta, kind of fat,
Yeah.
older. But and you don't think what would make you think this character can dance? You know, John Travolta could dance. You don't know this
He's got
character.
that straight flat hair.
He's got the flat hair.
Yeah.
He's in that Goonie, the hitman costume.
Yep.
And they get up and they end up going into the dance contest at Jackrabbit Slim's.
Right.
And it's just this great scene where they do this complete history of 60s dances.
Mm-hmm.
They do the Batusi, they do the mashed potato and everything. And it's probably like a 2 or 3 minute long scene, and it's just fucking great. I mean, again, I've seen Tarantino interviews where he says when he has an idea with a script, he starts going through his albums. That's his first thing he does, and he starts thinking. And there are there's I didn't include it on here because it's not played too much in the scene, but in Kill Bill Volume 1, the Santa Esmeralda version of Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood.
Yeah.
That flamenco guitar
Yeah.
during the beginning of the fight between Lucy Liu and Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. You cannot not think of that scene and that song together.
Yeah.
You
There's great stuff in Tarantino films.
Yeah, he's amazing. I still haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I bought it. I gotta watch
Yeah, I
it.
bought it too. It's sitting on my little shelf.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Fan? Was it good?
I didn't think it's his best.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, I'm putting it for me as one of his least best. Now, to quantify that, anything that Tarantino does is amazing. I'm going
Right.
to go ahead and say that. I'm a big Tarantino fan. For me, without saying too much, for those who haven't seen it, what I didn't like about it is that it sort of exists in quote unquote the real world, sort of.
Right.
It's not like Tarantino's world. It exists in, when you see a Tarantino movie, it's very much in a cinematic universe.
Right.
Yeah.
His films remind you constantly that you are watching a movie. And he does do some of that in Hollywood, but it's a big difference for what he normally does. So I really liked it. I still think it was an amazing movie. Just for me, it wasn't one of my favorites of his. Yeah.
I get it.
All right. What would you say is the lowest on your list for him?
I would probably say Death Proof, although I know a lot of people really like, and every time I watch Death Proof, it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't resonate like some
What's
of
your favorite?
I'm really torn. I flip flop between Pulp Fiction and Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious
Okay.
Bastards.
All right.
To me, without having seen Hollywood, Inglourious Bastards was the last great one he did.
Yeah.
To me. I enjoyed Django. I enjoyed Hateful Eight. They both suffered from being a little bit too long for me.
Yeah.
But Inglourious Bastards could have been longer, and I would have loved it.
Well, the thing about Inglourious Bastards is it had everything Tarantino. It was like at his peak. It had these amazingly well shot scenes and well acted scenes. Like the opening scene is absolutely brilliant. But then it's got the violence, it's got the slick look, it's got the comedy, it's got everything. It's got everything that he's sort of known for doing, which is why I always want to put that as my favorite of his. But like Pulp Fiction, is a masterpiece. I've watched it so many times. I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. Like, I absolutely love that movie.
Pulp Fiction was one of the. I was probably 20 when Pulp Fiction came out. Me and my friends, I probably saw Pulp Fiction in the theaters like 8 times. And I don't do that with movie. Even when I was younger, I would do it as a kid. We'd go see, like I saw Back to the Future 5 or 6 times because it was cheap and we'd go every weekend. And movies just play longer back then.
Yeah.
But Pulp Fiction was the last one where it was like we would just be, whatever. You want to go to the movies tonight? And we'd all go and maybe half of us would go see something else. And it's like, I'm going to see Pulp Fiction again. Because that movie, I mean, and I had seen Reservoir Dogs at that point. It was big because it was a big video kind of hit at that point, and I loved it. But like Pulp Fiction was like one of the first movies I ever saw of that ilk, where it's like there's a million storylines going on.
Yeah, that was
it's
the
being
first.
told in a weird time structure, and you really realize like this guy knows what the fuck he's doing.
That was the first date I ever had with my wife.
Ooh,
Oh.
Pulp Fiction.
Did it get awkward at that one scene?
That wasn't too bad. Yeah, we both liked it though.
Did it give her ideas? She's like,
Hey,
Zed's dead, baby.
Zed's dead, baby.
Kurt, you're on your number 4.
yeah, I'm definitely off one because of the Watchmen thing screwed everything
right,
up.
'cause-
So I'm going to throw one out as like a one that
There you go,
honestly
fill in.
just popped into my
Okay,
head.
well, you know what? So if you think you missed one, then give us
No,
2.
no, he didn't miss one. He skipped Watchmen because I had it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's just filling in for
okay,
that.
all right.
Yeah, so I'm just going to stick with the Tarantino thing because I wrestled a lot because Tarantino, we've just established his music is great. But one of the more overlooked movies for him and more overlooked, I would say, segments
I
is
know what you're going to say.
Jackie Brown.
And it's, Didn't I Blow Your Mind?
Yeah, Delphonics. Yeah, I mean the song is used a couple times in the movie, but the setup before the heist, if you will, is great.
Yeah.
So
And you know what? Robert Forster.
amazing.
Robert Forster, man.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Robert Forster, I don't think we ever talked about on the podcast. Me and my wife watched El Camino
Oh yeah.
the night it came out.
Oh yeah, you talked about that.
We watched the movie. It ends. Movie ends like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I fucking go on my phone. Robert Forster just passes away.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't know who anybody is. I'm like, what? She's like, what happened? I go, the guy, the
That we
vacuum
just
salesman
saw.
that we just saw. She's like, yeah. I go, he just died in real life. I'm like, that is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved him from when I was a kid, Alligator.
Yeah.
And the first movie I ever saw in the theaters, The Black Hole.
Oh.
He was the captain of the ship in The Black Hole. So, I mean, and he's just so great.
No, he's great in everything.
He was so
Yeah.
great in El Camino too, and that whole. I was always kind of surprised that Tarantino didn't use him again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because he does use people over and over again, and sometimes he doesn't go. Like he used De Niro one time,
Yeah.
and Jackie Brown. You never use him again.
But you know what? That role was so good for him.
Yeah.
And even like Pam Grier, he never used Pam Grier.
Yeah,
again.
no, you're right. Yeah,
Which
Jackie Brown was almost like an outlier.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, I don't think he ever used again. He didn't use really anybody in that.
Which is really weird. It's one of his movies that goes more overlooked, and the people who like it really like it, but it's always like you got to go. You should give it another shot, and
Yeah.
then people go, "Oh, okay," and then they watch it and they're like,
Two
yeah.
reasons. I really like that movie.
Yeah,
It's based on an Elmore Leonard novel.
Yeah.
So it's not a Quentin Tarantino original.
Right.
And it came out after Pulp Fiction.
right,
And Pulp Fiction, obviously, if you remember, was the biggest thing in the world
yeah,
for years. So anytime you have the biggest thing in the world, your next thing
yeah,
had better be fucking hot.
yeah. Well, because usually like your sophomore movie is the one that usually gets overlooked because
Right.
your first breakout one, even though it's technically his third movie because of Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs never got the release that
Right.
Pulp Fiction did, and so to like go in so hot off
And
of
when
Pulp
was
Fiction.
True Romance?
Not his. He wrote it. He
Not-
didn't direct
Oh,
it.
he wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In between. True Romance was... so Reservoir Dogs was 92. True Romance was 93.
Right.
Before Pulp Fiction came out, Natural Born Killers came
Yeah.
out, but he only wrote that too.
Yeah, he sold the script for True Romance before Reservoir Dogs. Some of that money was used to fund Reservoir Dogs. So it just took longer for True Romance to come out. But yeah, that was Tony Scott who directed that
Yeah,
one.
that's right.
And
Ridley Scott's
Brother.
brother.
brother, yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. as well.
Killed himself in
Right.
the weirdest way. You ever hear of the whole story?
He jumped off a bridge.
He didn't just jump off a bridge. He was driving, in California where, I don't know if it was San Francisco, I don't know where it was. He gets out of his car
Yeah.
in traffic, runs off the bridge and kills himself.
Oh, man.
People saw it. It was like, holy.
Well, yeah, he had a brain tumor, and
Is that what it was?
yeah, and so I don't know if it was like if that affected his
Right.
mind, but I know it was like terminal, so he was gonna unfortunately die anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he did it, but I also wonder if it like affected his mind and sort of made him
It
do
caused him.
Very
yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. He was a great filmmaker too.
Oh yeah, it was like Ridley Scott, Tony Scott. That thing is always like, who's better? Which brother is better? Like Ridley Scott, I think makes like the better sort of Oscar, critic movies.
Yeah.
But like Tony Scott makes the more fun, like average man movies.
Tony
So
Scott made
I
Top
get-
Gun. I mean, I'm
Top
not
Gun, yeah.
I'm not a huge Top Gun fan, but I mean that's big.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big fucking movie.
Yeah, no, Tony Scott's great.
Yeah. And he made Tony Scott made from the 90s. I love that movie. Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
One of
Denzel Washington.
Best submarine. Oh, and Tarantino actually did some script doctoring on that.
The Silver Surfer stuff.
Silver Surfer, yeah.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
I can't hang with this guy.
Yeah, oh, no,
he knows it
he's a
all.
filmmaker.
He's a filmmaker. All right. So now, for my sake, are we caught up?
We're caught up. So
Okay,
yeah.
so
right.
you're at 4.
So I'm at 4. So I'm going to go with a movie that everyone that I brought this movie to another podcast, and everyone hated it. I'll call it Everybody Sings. So 1999 Magnolia.
Oh, I love Magnolia.
Thank you. By Paul Thomas Anderson. The song is Wise Up by Amy Mann.
Okay, I forgot about that part.
You know,
Yeah.
everybody's living in their miserable lives or this pain and loneliness everywhere, and everybody's only thinking about themselves. But this one song, everyone in the movie just starts breaking out and singing this song, and they go from character to character, and they just keep going on with the song, and every character in the movie has a line in the song, and they're all singing at the same time.
Well, it's funny when you mentioned
It's really good.
When you mentioned Tom Cruise earlier,
Yeah.
I know people have like a love-hate relationship with Tom Cruise. I mean, say what you want about the man, he's an amazing actor, and his scene in his character in Magnolia,
character.
but that one scene where he goes into the hospital to like confront his father,
his father.
is amazing.
It is.
It's
and I did talk about that
Yeah.
scene
you did.
in
yeah.
movie.
If you doubt Tom Cruise as an actor, watch that scene. It's absolutely amazing.
I think I talked about this on a podcast, and I know I talked about it recently, like with a friend or something, like very recently, like maybe this week. But like, think about so I'm 44. Tom Cruise has been a fucking movie star since 1982.
Right.
He's been a headline movie star since probably like 1986. He still is.
Yeah.
Name 2 others. I'll stop you. You fucking can't.
Right.
So even if you don't like Tom Cruise, you really can't.
Clint
fucking,
Eastwood. That's
He's
about
still-
it.
And Clint Eastwood.
I mean,
is
he
right.
had a long career.
He had a long career, but like
But he's not an A-lister. Like Tom
Yeah.
Cruise is still an
Yeah.
Tom
A-lister.
Cruise
No,
is
yeah.
still opening summer movies. Things are tanking based on whether the Mummy.
Yeah.
It didn't do well because they expected it to do well because it was a Tom Cruise movie. So it folded a whole fucking like universe they were gonna do.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like that's crazy. That's insane. All right, so my number
4.
4. I'm gonna go with 1984.
Oh, the movie.
No.
Oh.
No.
What
1984.
part?
Movie came out.
Okay.
It is a classic, recently inspired and informed a television show that will be coming out with its 3rd season very soon. Karate Kid. And the song, and this is like a song that is pretty much just known for this movie.
Uh-huh.
It is Joe Esposito. I bet you never knew that's the guy who did it. You're the best around. It is the montage scene
Yeah. Oh,
where
yeah.
Daniel progresses through the
Okay.
tournament.
I got it.
I'm right at that age. I
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
9
yeah.
when that came out. So I've always loved the Karate Kid.
That was great stuff.
And just that scene is just fucking incredible. It's not just Daniel fighting, but it's like maybe a 3-minute long sequence where they basically run through the tournament so you can get set up to, the semifinals or whatever. You see Daniel fighting a couple of the Cobra Kai guys. It ends with Daniel having to fight Dutch, the one who looks like Kiefer Sutherland from Lost Boys, who is actually Steve McQueen's son, Chad McQueen. You get some great moments. You get to see there's one scene where like the fat Cobra Kai kid, he stomps across the mat. It's just
I love montage scenes.
I love montage scenes
That's
too.
that's like the epitome of 80s montage scenes.
Yes.
Like that song,
Yeah.
just the montage itself. Like
Yep.
I think when people parody montage scenes, they parody that one.
They do. They do. There's the great one in Rocky 4 too when he goes to Russia and he's got the beard and he's like fucking lifting logs.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then they
yeah.
show
Yeah.
Drago and Drago's like using like all the machinery and shit.
Yep.
But like for me, you can't get better than the Karate Kid Joe Esposito, who I don't know, maybe he had a career, maybe he did not, maybe he was a member of a band previously, maybe he was just a session guy, but somehow or another, his song "You're the Best Around" for me is my number 4. So and I just absolutely fucking love that movie.
Yeah, no, that's a great movie too. Yeah.
Yeah. And Cobra Kai. Have you seen Cobra Kai?
No.
Are you a fan of the Karate Kid?
Well, it's funny because so like 80s movies for me, like a lot of the like classic 80s movies, I've been going back and rewatching them recently and watching them with like fresh eyes and trying to get a feel for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I've been away from them for a while because I watch so many movies and I try to keep up with everything that's going on. And there's even in my work, there's like so many movies I'm watching. So like a lot of stuff from my childhood, I don't rewatch movies over and over and over again. Yep. So like some of these ones like the Karate Kids, even like the Back to the Futures, like some of these like classic 80s films, I've been revisiting them recently and watching them with new eyes. And actually Karate Kid I watched maybe a couple months ago with my girlfriend. We were in Texas for Fantastic Fest, which is a big, huge genre film festival. And we went back to the hotel that night and we were like, let's watch Karate Kid. And yeah, it's actually a really good movie. It holds up.
Watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Okay.
I try to get my kids to watch that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes they'll hang a little bit, but they usually can't make it the whole way.
Kids nowadays, it's lame.
Yeah.
Well, and to not go off on a whole tangent on 80s movies, because I could talk about that forever, what I find really interesting about 80s movies, especially the classic ones, is you accept things with no explanation. Like, when you go back and watch a lot of these movies, like the plot points, you just accept with no explanation. When there's a whole thing about that. I mean, there's like one of the comedians makes a joke.
John
Mulaney?
John Mulaney about Marty and Doc.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
And it's 100% true when you go back and watch a lot of these movies. Like Ghostbusters especially. I rewatched Ghostbusters a few years back. And if you watch Ghostbusters, there's no setup. There is no setup and the progression of that film. But I don't know. I could go off on a whole tangent. I mean, I like Ghostbusters. Yeah. But when you watch it, I was like, this movie makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. Ghostbusters to me.
I'm sure you could find some YouTube thing where they go over that.
Yeah.
But you just accept it because like movies back then, especially, they were made for like family, an event, you know, so like the whole family went. So like they gave enough for the adults and then they gave enough for the kids. But, you know, plot points had to be simple and keep moving forward. But you just accept them without sometimes questioning them.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. Marty's like 16 years old and his best friend is a fucking like a disgraced nuclear scientist. It makes no fucking sense at all. All right.
Short attention spans.
Yeah,
so, absolutely. Keep it simple.
All right, Curtis, you're number 3.
All right, so this is a big, huge cheat, and I hope I don't get disqualified for this one.
John will disqualify you.
Get out. You're done.
Yeah.
Cut off.
Give me a card. Give me a red card.
So technically, this isn't a movie. This is a television show.
Oh.
But there's an explanation, so I'm going to go with it.
Kurt, you're the guest. I'm going to allow it.
All right.
But I'm going to tell you you're pushing your fucking luck.
No, I know.
You got a yellow card.
Well, this is why it was kind of like, this is a maybe one, but it has to be mentioned. I cannot do this without mentioning this. And that's X-Files, Season 4, Episode 2, Home.
Oh, yeah.
The Home episode.
You can't not mention ironic music because they use Wonderful, Wonderful, the Johnny Mathis song, when the inbreds are killing the sheriff. And it stuck with me so much as a kid. And so the reason why I'm also including it, even though it's a television show, but like Glenn Morgan and James Wong, who were the creators of that particular episode, are big movie guys. They did the Final Destination series.
There was also 2 X-Files movies.
There are 2 X-Files movies. I know it's a big cheat, but
you're skating right now, but you're the guest.
You're gonna let me slide.
Well, I'm looking at it this way. You know, it's been like a year since we talked about
cut
doing
off your limbs and stuff you in a trunk of a car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is that also the song playing when they're driving through in the car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I mean so to me, even though it was in a TV show, like, so as a director, you know, right now I make more low budget films, and I always think like if I had the money to get songs to use in like murder scenes or disturbing dark scenes, like what would I use? And one of the influences for that was that particular scene from
There you go.
Because that episode just blew everybody's mind when it aired for the first time.
And it aired for the first time and the only time.
Yeah.
That did not repeat on Fox.
Yeah, it didn't repeat.
They had so many phone calls from, you know, you're watching the X-Files.
Yes, I know.
This is a show about aliens and monsters and vampires. But yeah, so many people were disturbed by that show that I think Fox never reran it. And they didn't start rerunning it until I remember years later, like on Memorial Day, like FX would do like the top 10 X-Files episodes marathon.
Yeah.
And they started to do
And that was, I think they put that as number one because it was so requested.
Right, because nobody had seen it a second time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I remember watching that one air for the first time. And that's why, because it's like so infamous as an episode. But even the viewer discretion, it was the first time they used a viewer discretion, I think, especially for X-Files.
Really?
It was the first time they used one. But yeah, that episode, if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor, find it. It'll haunt you forever.
Well, I guess we could go by the guest thing, and also you can say that like the best TV episodes are almost like miniature movies.
Yeah.
So we're good with that. All right, what's your number 3?
All right, I'm going to bring it totally to a different place here. You know me, and I can be a crybaby sometimes in movies. You know, I'm no filmmaker, but I'm pretty sure that they know what they're doing when they put music in a movie. You know, they want to elicit a certain feeling.
Oh yeah.
And this movie, I can't even watch a clip of this without crying. All right. And I think I mentioned it before. 1988, it's a John Hughes movie. Mm-hmm. She's having a baby.
Okay.
I'm hearing crickets. All right.
Yeah,
it's
Kevin Bacon.
You familiar with the movie? Yeah, Kevin Bacon.
I've seen it when I was younger, but not in a long time.
And what is it? Elizabeth Montgomery?
Montgomery, yeah.
They have a pretty mundane life and marriage and, you know, all this stuff. But then she's pregnant and she's having a baby. And he gets to the hospital. They don't actually say it, though. They get to the hospital and he gets in there. He's all psyched up. He's got on his scrubs and everything. He's going in. And as he's going in, she's screaming behind the doors. And there's lots of different doctors and stuff there. They come out and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, you're going to have to leave." And he's like, "What's going on?" And then it goes into the montage of all the different things that they've done throughout their lives together. You know, all these fun things, painting houses and being caught in the rain and all this stuff. And the song that's playing, again, you won't know this probably, but This Woman's Work by Kate Bush.
No, I know you're a big Kate Bush fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Kate Bush fan. You know, she's just got this ethereal voice, and it's like piano music, and they hit like the first key of the piano, and then you just, it's like it's made to just make you lose it.
Right.
And the song was actually written for this particular scene. Like
so there you go.
It's a song that she has on one of her albums called "The Sensual World," but it was written for that scene in particular. And it just goes through, and you just see all these things in their lives, you know, building up to this moment. And then you see Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's a really good actor as well.
Kevin Bacon's great.
He's emoting, he's crying, you know, and it just makes me lose it every time I see it. Crying like a fucking baby.
That might be one of the few on the lists that we've had that I'm not familiar with.
There you go.
I know I've seen the movie. I know at one point that was, I mean, obviously I'm old enough to remember that came out, but at one point that was like on Comedy Central a bunch. Even though it's not one of John Hughes's, you know, it's not The Breakfast Club or
right.
Although even The Breakfast Club, none of his movies were really flat out comedies. They were all based on life and experience, and then they just happened to be funny.
Yeah.
Uncle Buck, all of his movies. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well,
but that's a great scene. I figure I'd go in a different direction.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's our first like crying.
Yeah.
Like tugging on your
I
heartstrings.
think I was trying to keep it because I think the scene in Up might be it might have a song too, and I'm not even touching
nothing like this.
I'm not touching that fucking movie with.
Hopefully, someone out there listening will say, "Oh yeah, that's."
Oh, someone will for sure. Yeah. All right, my number 3. I'm gonna go with because I think it might be higher on your list. I know this is. I have a feeling, so I'm gonna go with 3 on this one. Jesse's Girl. Now this could be 2 songs if you want to say because it's really one long scene. I'm choosing the Jesse's Girl portion by Rick Springfield of the drug deal scene gone bad in Boogie Nights. Now, the other half of the earlier half of it is Kurt, what is it?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Jesus. I actually wrote it down too. I can't think of it right now. The other half of it is I can't think. I'll get to it. So have you seen Boogie Nights, Lloyd?
One time, yeah. The other Paul Thomas Anderson movie,
yeah,
right?
PTA, yeah. So John C. Reilly,
Thomas
Jane, and Mark Wahlberg, Dirk Diggler. They go to this house, all right, and Alfred Molina plays this really eccentric drug dealer who's wearing a bathrobe, tighty-whitey underwear, getting high, and playing music. He has a big bodyguard with guns and this very strange, possibly mentally challenged young Asian guy is walking around the house and throwing firecrackers.
I think he was just supposed to be like high out of his mind.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I think that's part of the appeal of that scene.
Yeah.
Is what's going on. Like, what's the relationship? You want to know more about them.
Oh yeah, it's a brilliant, absolute brilliant scene.
And the three of them are at the end of their ropes. This is the end of the movie. They're all completely drugged out, and they're there to score drugs or to sell drugs. I can't remember what it was at that point. Thomas Jane doesn't tell the other two, but he has a plan that he's going to rob this guy. Mm-hmm. And as this whole scene is playing out, Jesse's Girl's playing. Oh, it was Journey. It was.
That's right.
Was it Don't Stop Believing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first
that
half
was
of
the
it,
earlier part?
when they first arrive, it's kind of cooler. It's kind of a more mellow vibe, and Don't Stop Believing's playing, and then it moves into Jesse's Girl. As soon as Jesse's Girl starts, it's when you kind of get the feeling that Jane is going to do something weird. And there's this one great shot of Mark Wahlberg sitting on the couch. It's a weird shot, but it's just a shot of a guy who is like stoned beyond his mind at the end of his rope. And he's just kind of like, he keeps squeezing his eyes and like, kind of like just staring. Like he is like literally that dude. Like he's at the end of his rope. And as this song is playing, Thomas Jane's character starts to tell the guy, I'm going to tell you what I want. I want you to go in the bedroom and get the safe where you have all the fucking money. Shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Okay, shit totally hits the fan. Gunshots start. It is a tense fucking scene, and it's just so well done. I think when we first started talking about doing the show, it wasn't going to be my number one, but it was one of the ones I go to immediately.
Immediately popped in.
Like immediately. Like, okay, Jesse's Girl from Boogie Nights. It's an incredible scene.
Boy, I wish I could remember that.
Fun fact too: the guy with the firecrackers, he's really setting them off on set. And I guess Paul Thomas Anderson said, "Just go ahead and light them whenever you want. Don't worry about continuity." And so the three guys sitting on the couch, they don't know, so they're just going off
So
behind them.
real
So all their jumps and everything like that. And what's his name? The drug.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah. He had earplugs in.
Oh, okay.
That's why he doesn't jump. So because he's supposed to be like, they're all just drugged out. So he's like throwing the fireworks and he's just not moving. And every time they go off, everybody else is jumping.
Yeah, he's freebasing as he's talking to them.
Yeah.
Right.
He wants to just have a good time. Hey, we're going to do this thing. And Thomas Jane's character is just like, he's just going to make the wrong move. Mm-hmm. And he does. And it doesn't end well. But it's one of the tensest scenes. You had mentioned earlier the Inglourious Basterds opening.
Yeah.
I saw that in the theaters, that whole beginning scene where Hans Landa goes to the farm.
Yeah.
And my ass was just clenched the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time, And that's a perfect example of a scene that like you're just like, I want this to end. It's so fucking tense. So that's my number 3. Jesse's Girl, Rick Springfield, Boogie Nights, like 1997 or 8. Yeah.
All right.
All right, Curtis, number 2, numero dos.
Number 2. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. We'll see if you guys have even seen this movie. You're not going to be expecting this, but The Strangers Part 2, Pray at Night.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I've seen the
I've seen
Strangers.
The Strangers.
Yeah. No, I didn't expect anybody to.
I've not only not seen The Strangers Part 2, but I don't know if you do. I know people fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
So it goes in a different direction. I don't know how you feel about the first one. The first one is a little bit more raw, kind of has a little bit of a 70s kind of vibe to it. The second one very much had an 80s vibe to it. So different director, Johannes Roberts, did the second one. Now, the film itself is fine. It's mediocre. It's more of a slasher, 80s slasher type film. And if you like that kind of thing, great. But there was one scene in the movie, and it's to Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Bonnie
Okay.
Tyler.
Turn Around Bright Eyes.
Yeah. So and it's so perfect that I couldn't not put it on this list because it elevates the movie. If you don't remember anything about the movie, you remember this one scene because it takes place. There's like a family that's running from the murderers, and this the son ends up at this it's like a hotel, I guess, and there's a pool and all this other kind of thing, and he's trying to hide out, and he's like wounded, and then all of a sudden somebody flips the lights on, and so all these neon lights and Christmas lights and just whatever else come on around the pool, and that song starts playing, and then this guy comes out of nowhere with an axe, and they have an axe fight to that song, and so for me, once again, I've been using this word a lot, it's ironic. And it's for me the epitome of that kind of what if I was going to shoot some kind of slasher scene, what's the one song that I could pick for especially an 80s tribute that would just work so well during an axe fight.
Yeah.
And
got to be Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Total Eclipse of the Heart. So it's so good and so memorable that it elevates the movie above what it is. So
I get that. No, I totally get that.
I love that song
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of that song.
I love it.
Never
Yeah.
have been. But I can see what you're saying. It fits being the opposite of what that whole thing should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I was upstairs in my office one day at home. I don't know what, something must have been playing on TV, and my kids were downstairs, like singing it, sort of making like mocking it, singing it. And it got to a certain line, and I belted out from upstairs, and they just burst out laughing.
That's Dad's music.
Yeah,
All right, Manster, what
All
is
right.
your number 2?
I'm gonna go with On the Bus, 2000, Almost Famous, Tiny Dancer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a halfway point in the movie. Main character's feeling kind of isolated. That's a great pick me up. Bunch of people singing Elton John's song on the bus.
Yeah, well, we talked about this on the top of 99.
Yeah, that was on-
2000
on that
episode.
list.
Yeah, and it's at the point where everybody is at everybody's end of the rope with everybody. And then all it takes is this one song and this one
That's
impromptu sing-along to kind of bring them back together.
Yep.
And it is at their lowest. Isn't that the part where they pick the lead singer up from
They
the party?
picked him up from the
He
party,
jumps
yeah.
off of the roof and everything.
Yeah, all that stuff.
He is a golden god.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. So
All right.
yeah, I don't want to spend too much time. I know it's going on a little long.
All right, well, I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
And I'm going to put Ghetto
How dare
Boys
you.
Still. I'm going to put Ghetto Boys Still
Okay.
at my number 2.
Excellent.
So I could talk a little bit more at number 1. It seems
All right.
anticlimactic.
Excellent. No,
and
that's
I really do love. Not only do I love the my number 1, but I feel almost like Curtis. I think maybe nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. So
Okay.
I'm excited about that one because
All right.
I do like the movie, but this scene always sticks out there. So Curtis, what is your number 1?
My number one?
Your number 1, yeah.
Okay. So I thought long and hard about this, and I went with Casino by Martin Scorsese.
Oh.
And the scene is near the end of the film when everybody's getting whacked,
Yeah.
killed. There's a whole montage of violence set to House of the Rising Sun.
Oh yeah, great song.
All right. And so for me, this was sort of a personal one just because when I saw that scene, it had the same effect that like Reservoir Dogs had for me. And I must have watched that scene back so many times. And what's great about it is it's one of those ones that as soon as it starts playing, because that song is amazing. I love that song. Yeah. But as soon as it starts playing, you know shit's about to hit the fan, and you kind of get like a little bit of those chills, you know, and then everybody just starts getting killed like one by one. What's really interesting about it too, once again, spoiler, there's a voiceover going on during it. Joe Pesci, I think Robert De Niro does some of the voiceover, but Joe Pesci has a big voiceover at this point. And what's really well done about it is that the song is playing, people are getting whacked, Joe Pesci's talking, and then there's a scene with Joe Pesci, so you hear his voiceover while you see him, and then somebody comes up behind him and hits him with a baseball bat. And at that moment, both the song and his voiceover stops. And so it's like a brilliant piece of direction because he's talking, and then he has the reaction of getting hit by a baseball bat, which it's such a little thing, but it's so brilliantly done.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Martin Scorsese great. And I had to put Martin Scorsese just on here, period, because he is a master of using music in his movies. And really, a lot of people have sort of said that like Tarantino has stolen a lot from Scorsese, and you can debate that all you want. But as brilliant as Tarantino's use of music is in movies, I actually kind of got to give it to Martin Scorsese.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
Excellent. Yeah.
unless it's not my number 1, unless it's
I won't deny you
Manster's.
that.
I'm surprised none of us have the Layla scene from Goodfellas.
Yeah, well, I had thought about that, but I went with this one because it's like more of a personal thing,
Yeah.
and that's why I put it as my number one. But yeah,
You know, you're familiar with Goodfellas, or
I would have chosen, I think it's Memo from Turner, Rolling Stone song. That's the Henry Hill one.
yes, yeah.
There's a scene where Ray Liotta's going around. I think the helicopters are in the air, and they're playing this obscure Rolling Stone song called "Memo from Turner."
When he initially said Casino, I was
that
thinking
almost
of,
made my number 1.
I was thinking of because it doesn't have "Can't You Hear Me Knocking"? Is that in Casino too?
yeah. Wait, no.
It might be maybe another Scorsese movie. There's definitely something that uses "Can't You Hear Me Knocking."
Yeah. Well, a lot of those gangster movies.
Yeah.
They're great. They got
Yeah.
lots of good songs.
All right, Manster, what's your number 1?
All right. It's not really my number 1. It's just on my list. I'm going to go. I know you hate that.
Yeah, I know.
Anticlimactic.
I know there's somebody out there who's going to like this choice. Somebody out there. 1985 John Hughes movie, The Breakfast Club. Don't You Forget About Me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think I could have this list without that song on there.
Simple Minds. Yeah.
Simple Minds. Funny thing, that song was written and composed by Keith Forsey and Steve Schiff, I guess who were involved in the music in this, intended for Simple Minds to make, but they turned it down. They're like, nah, we ain't going to do some other music from someone else.
Right.
So they offered it to Brian Ferry, Billy Idol, Corey Hart, sort of, and The Fix, the singer from The Fix.
yeah.
Everybody turned it down. It finally made its way back to Simple Minds.
They had their biggest
They
hit
did
ever.
it based on Chrissy Hine, who was married to John Kerr at the time.
Right.
You know, and they thought it was just going to be a throwaway song on a forgettable movie. They were wrong.
Yeah.
You
Big
know?
time wrong.
You know, I guess, you know, Don't You Forget About Me. You know, there's this bond between all the people there in the movie. Is it going to stay, you know, come Monday morning? Is there still going to be a bond there? We'll see.
I watched The Breakfast Club about a year ago for the first time in a while. I mean, I had seen it as an adult. There's so much stuff in that movie that would never be allowed.
Yeah.
The way Judd Nelson treats Molly Ringwald, some
yeah.
of the stuff he does. There's a scene where he's under the desk and he sticks his head in between her legs. Like, you know,
Yeah,
kinda
there's
like,
stuff in there. There's
it's
no
just,
way.
again, I don't want to say I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'm of the age where I remember when that you could laugh at that.
Yeah.
But I'm also of the age and the intelligence to know, like, holy fuck, like
Right.
that's like you said, going back to watch some of these older movies. That's one where there's so many things that happen in it where you're like, that would never make the
Yeah.
remake.
Well,
That
like-
would never make the remake.
Like Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, he rapes her.
Yeah, I mean,
he
basically.
absolutely rapes her in Revenge of the Nerds. I don't know how. Even then, I don't know how that was okay.
Yeah, well, it's because he's the nerd, you know. He's but yeah, no, it's it's
Yeah.
messed up when you really think about it. But
yeah, but
it was
this
funny
this
then.
movie is great. You know,
Oh, yeah.
And the way it ends, I think, is fantastic.
With the
and
fist in the air.
the
yeah.
fist pump. You know, the character, what's his name, John Michael
Bender.
Hall, writing the note.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, saying, "Oh, you want us to all write this bullshit, but you know, you're only going to see us as who you think we are," and blah blah blah. Great movie, great song,
Yeah.
great ending.
All right. Well, my number one is definitely not a movie that's going to be considered a classic anytime soon, but it's one I've always liked. It's probably about 10 years old. Weird choice for a song too. So the song is "I've Got You Under My Skin," and the version is Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay.
The movie is called Gamer.
Oh,
Have you ever seen Gamer?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that. Is that
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler? Yeah.
Right. So Gerard Butler, it's a futuristic movie. Michael C. Hall, Dexter, is this evil tech genius who is essentially kind of taking over the world in terms of, like, you know, everybody buys his product and he has a certain degree of mind control over people through his technology. And Gerard Butler's character, Cable, is this real life avatar in this real life game where people get killed, prisoners go into this battlefield. They're kind of controlled by gamers. Long story short, it's the climactic scene of the movie. And the first time I saw it, it was so odd, but the movie's odd. So Cable, he gets out of his prison. He goes to confront Michael C. Hall's character. I can't remember the character's name. And when he walks into his lair, he comes down this flight of stairs and Michael C. Hall starts to play over the loudspeakers, "I've Got You Under My Skin." You know, this kind of jazzy.
Who'd you say? It's a Cole Porter song.
Yeah, it's Sammy Davis Jr.
Sammy Davis
is this
Jr.
version.
Okay.
And it's Michael C. Hall, and he's doing all these kind of like pantomimes, and he's lip syncing along to it. And Gerard Butler's character is, you know, he's this fucking beef castle guy who's ready to fucking fight.
Yeah.
He's kind of watching, but he doesn't know what's happening. And Michael C. Hall has all of his goons with him, and through kind of like his technology, they're dancing along with him, and then it becomes a fight scene. You got to watch it. It's unique as fuck.
I have seen that movie. I don't recall that.
And
but
it's a movie I've always enjoyed. It's one of those weird, like, sea-level movies, but I've always liked it. But that scene is just so memorable to me. And then the rest of the scene is pretty much a fight scene that the song plays over. But it's just the oddest beginning to a scene. You know, you got all these muscular goons, and they're all like doing snapping and doing dance moves and everything. And Butler is just watching because, like, he lives in this craziness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he kind of knows what's happening. So yeah, it's a weird choice, but those two guys, I can't remember that. Neville Dean Taylor, I think it is.
Yeah.
They made the Crank movies, which I like Crank. Crank 2 in particular, I love. It's absolutely batshit insane.
Yeah.
And this was right in between those. And I don't even know if they make movies anymore. They made the Ghost Rider sequel, which stunk up the world.
Yeah.
And I think they might have gone their like separate ways. But they did a lot of stuff with motion cameras, and they filmed things like using rollerblades and getting pulled along. They did a lot of weird guerrilla style.
Yeah.
And gamers very much like that. If you watch it, it's very kinetic. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually met Brian Taylor.
Really?
A couple months. He was at Fantastic Fest, and I was talking to him. And actually, Gamer, he said, which I didn't really realize, but he said, I don't know how much you guys know about cameras and all that kind of stuff, but
Not much.
like the red digital camera, which is sort of became one of the first like cinematic digital cameras that was being used for like big budget movies.
Right.
That was the first time it was used, according to him. I didn't know that.
Oh.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you could tell a lot of it is filmed like on a digital camera.
Yeah.
Gamer was one of those movies there where like a long time ago, if you signed up for a Roku, you get 3 free movies.
Right.
And like that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was all it's one of those movies, I'm sure you guys have them in your life too, that when it came out and I rented it, I did not like it. And then like maybe a year later, I just caught it again. And I went, fuck, that was good. You caught me on the wrong day.
Yep.
Terry
I've had that
Crews,
happen.
I love Terry Crews. Terry Crews plays like the evil prisoner. He does this whole scene where he has the Geppetto. He's like, I've got no strings.
Yeah.
It's just this weird movie. But yeah,
It's cool though. Yeah.
it is cool.
Yeah.
And that one scene, I can easily put that at number one because it's unique. It's not a song you necessarily think about in that connotation.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that is our list.
That's it.
All right. That's our list. So let me go over some housekeeping stuff. We're going to read off some of our friends' lists in a second. Number one. So we're doing this the week this comes out. After you listen to this show, you got to go over to our friends at Ghost of the Stratosphere, another great podcast out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Gotstratosphere.com. I talked to the guys over there, and what they're going to do is they're going to write their lists. So you could listen to this. You can go there. You could read their article. I think it's also going to link you back to this. So
Cool.
if you're reading that without hearing this, I don't know how you're hearing me, but you get to hear the show anyway.
I've recently heard you on that podcast talking about Thor.
Thor, yeah. I did an episode with Thor. Those guys are awesome. They're a lot of fun. And yeah, so they wanted to kind of do something together, but like, separate but together. And I kind of hit them up with the idea of this, and they were like, we'll write an article. We'll each do, I think all three of them are going to do an article. I don't know if they're going to do 5 or 10, but they're going to go through theirs as well. Let's start off. We're going to start off with our buddy Scary Larry Dwyer.
I'm curious what he did.
So here we go. I'm going to read this backwards, and he has 3 honorable mentions as well. He corrected me on something immediately. So number 5, Larry's number 5, and this is how Larry is with lists. I don't have it here. If you can see on the bottom, he linked each one of his to the scene.
Okay.
So maybe at some point I can release
So
that.
he wants you to see it.
Number 5 is from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, I thought about that
Hugh
one.
Lazarus,
Yeah.
Goodbye Horses, the very strange dick between the legs,
Yep.
would you fuck me scene.
James Gum.
James Gum, yeah, it is. It's a totally memorable scene. Inspired, what was it?
It puts the
Jay.
lotion on its skin.
Inspired Jay to do it in Clerks 2, I think, in that same song. That's one of those songs that I don't think I ever knew what the band was that did that. But yeah, Hugh Lazarus. All right, so number 4, Larry is on the same wavelength as Lloyd. Almost Famous, Tiny Dancer,
all right.
Elton John. Number 3, I had to look this up. This is it was a pretty cool scene. I've never seen the movie. Lords of Dogtown, Old Man.
Oh yeah.
Neil Young. I'm assuming, without ever seeing the movie, it seems like it's an end of the movie scene. It's kind of very good.
Sorry.
That's a great song too.
Yeah.
But it appears to be a scene at the end of the movie where maybe everything's ending for these characters, and it's Emil Hirsch's character, and seems very bummed out. He's shaving his head. Obviously, that song has a lot of connotation in terms of like moving on in life, doing something different. Number 2, another movie that I'm always embarrassed to say I've never seen. I don't know how I've never seen this, but I think it's the closing credits of the movie, The Warriors in the City.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean,
Eagles.
I own it too. It's almost like a badge of honor now. I've never seen The Warriors.
Watch the theatrical cut.
Okay.
Don't watch the director's cut.
Okay.
They ruin it.
They ruin it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's rare when that happens. Sometimes the director's cut, but there's like he added like animation and all this other kind of stuff that was never in the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's really too bad because they've never done like a really good version of the theatrical. The Blu-ray, you can only get the director's cut. The theatrical is on there, but it's not been restored or anything like that. Anyway, that's just me
That's how they do that.
Nerding out.
But watch the theatrical cut; it's better.
All right. I'll eventually. I'm sure I own a DVD of it. I'm sure it's the theatrical cut. Number 1, also Lloyd, you and Larry.
Me and Larry.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't you
Okay.
forget about me. I know that was coming because I've talked to Larry about it before. Larry, Larry is like a book of many pages, and he's scary Larry.
Yep.
But like Larry loves a lot of other things, and he loves John Hughes movies.
Not me. I love violence and horror.
You just love violence and horror. Larry has told me that he's trying to get the guy. Well, I mean, yes, it's his idea in the end, but he wants to do like a cult classics night that's all John Hughes stuff.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And then
he wants
Little
to
House.
And he's a big Little House on the Prairie fan, which is very weird. He texts me random screenshots of him watching Little House on the Prairie.
Nice.
All right, and his honorable mentions, and this is where he corrects me. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Boogie Nights' Sister Christian is the first
Oh, that's
song.
the one that starts.
okay.
Don't start believing.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
stop believing. I had to look this up because I've never seen the movie. I knew what it was though. Cruel Intentions.
Oh yeah.
Bittersweet Symphony,
Yeah.
The Verve,
Yeah.
and it looks like it might be like a final comeuppance scene or
Yeah, it's
something.
at the very end. I actually
That's a very cinematic song.
I joke about that one a lot because it's like the song is playing and there's no dialogue, so you're just seeing everything through like actions, and it's a little over dramatic, like the way the characters like kind of look at each other and shake their heads and all that.
From what I saw on YouTube, it looked like that.
yeah, but it's funny, and actually I joke about that a lot, so I'm glad you put that on there.
All right, so Larry loved that, and then going with you, and he even put so cliche, but it's ingrained in my soul. Stuck in the middle.
Yeah, you can.
There you go.
Steelers will. You cannot say that. All right, so who else do we have here? Mike Field from Forgotten
Okay.
Cinema, a great podcast we just did a couple
I
episodes
know
with.
those guys.
Yep. We're gonna go number 5, The Graduate. Simon and Garfunkel,
Yeah.
Sounds of Silence.
Yeah.
The opening
Yeah.
credits of The Graduate. He actually gave me a little blurb on each one, and I didn't write it all down. But he basically says, the whole idea of like it's this college graduate, and you're at a time in your life where you're kind of everything's confusing. Number 4, Baby Driver, Bell Bottoms.
Yeah, that's the opening scene.
The John Spencer
getaway.
Blues explosion, opening scene chase.
Yeah.
Number 3, Wayne's World, Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody,
There you go.
The Car Ride. He said
talked
it's
about
just
that
basically just symbolic and it works with that totally.
Yeah.
Number 2, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the Beatles, Twist and Shout,
Okay,
parade
yeah.
scene.
That's on my honorable mentions.
He basically said that if you know that scene, you know the movie. It's just this fun movie, and here's this character who doesn't give a shit about anything in the middle of a work day at a parade in Chicago, having a great time.
Yeah.
His number 1, Almost Famous,
There you go.
Tiny Dancer.
Okay.
Mike Simonetta, who programs Larry's cult classics. He has no social media, so I can't call him out on that. And he has a couple that I was gonna ask him to give me a different pick, but I saw it afterwards. So number 5, you probably know this horror movie. I know I've heard of it. I think it's Matt Dillon, The House That Jack Built.
Okay, so it's funny. I just bought it the other day.
Okay.
Haven't watched it yet. So
And it was, I guess, Fame. Now I don't know if it's the David Bowie version.
Bowie.
He didn't give me that.
It's got to be David Bowie.
And I was gonna look it up today, and I totally forgot. So apparently, you're gonna see a scene with Fame.
Probably next week.
Number 4, and this is where I was gonna call him out, but it still works as popular music. It's not score. Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Ride of the Valkyries.
Okay.
The great
He
helicopter.
didn't do This Is the End?
This is the end.
Yeah, I would have gone with that one.
He went with the Ride of the Valkyries.
Huh.
Number 3. Let me see here. What the fuck? I can't even read my own. I honestly can't read my own writing. I'm going to get back to that. Number 2, Manhunter. The final scene in Manhunter in Gata de Vita.
Yeah.
The final showdown where he faces off against fucking creepy ass Tom Noonan with a what does he have? He has a nylon over his head.
Yeah.
Number 1, again, this is where I was going to kind of call him out, but 2001, A Space Odyssey, the Blue Daniel Waltz,
Yeah.
which starts the movie off.
Yep.
Give me 1 second. I'm amazed because my handwriting sucks. Oh,
Can I? Oh, you
no,
got it?
I got it. His number 3 was I could not read my own handwriting. The Big Lebowski.
Oh.
The first edition just dropped in to see what condition my condition's
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
The dream bowling sequence.
Yeah.
Which, now here's a trivia thing I did not know about this because I did look this up. I know the scene. The first edition, you know who the lead singer in that band was? Before he went solo. He sings this song. Kenny Rogers.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had no fucking clue. All right. And then finally, Joey DiCarlo from So Wizard Podcast. So go to at So Wizard Podcast on Twitter. Number 5, Watchmen, Bob Dylan. The times are changing. Opening titles. Number 4, Transformers the movie. Stan Bush, You've Got the Touch. You got the touch. It's the scene where a hot rod becomes Rodimus Prime. Number 3, and I almost put this on. This was one of the ones that when he said it, I went, fuck, I should have put it on my list. And I avoided putting it on my list because I wanted him to have all the glory of
There
picking
you go.
it.
You're so
But it's
magnanimous.
Yeah, I'm so magnanimous. But this is maybe out of all, this is maybe one of my favorite choices, period, because this scene is awesome. The remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh,
Johnny Cash, the man comes around.
Yeah.
The opening credits.
well, I had thought about that one, but again, the opening credits thing, I was like, are we pushing it? So I was like, so I kept it out of there. But yeah, I'd highly consider that
if
one.
you've never seen it, it's perfect visual and song complements.
Yeah.
This dark song about like these dark things and it's scenes of what's happening in this zombie apocalypse, and then these scenes of like, cells breaking apart and all like weird biology things, and it's fantastic. That was a great pick.
That's awesome.
Number 2, Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle. His number 1, which I would have guaranteed would have been on yours, and I can't, either you fucking forgot it or I'm amazed that you didn't say it.
Okay.
Say Anything, Peter Gabriel, In Your Eyes, boombox scene.
All right, do you want to hear my 4 runner-ups? I never
Give me your 4 runner-ups, yeah.
Fight Club, Where Is My Mind?
Okay.
Ghost, Unchained Melody,
Yeah, Unchained Melody, yeah.
Say Anything, In Your Eyes, and Ferris Bueller, Twist and Shout.
Okay.
Okay.
It's on there.
All right. I have nothing more. I had to utilize all my stuff to get in there. So yeah, that was good. That was a good time.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
We got it in less than 2 hours.
And hopefully there's some movies people will go watch now.
Yeah, go check
Excellent.
them out.
Yeah.
If you agree, if you disagree, go check out the Ghost of the Stratosphere, see what they say. Listen to this episode. Obviously, you're almost done with it. Listen to it again. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And
Go watch some of these movies.
Go watch some of these
really.
movies, but then go watch some of Curtis's movies.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna talk more about Curtis's movies in the next episode. But we have enough time. Kurt, what are your 2 movies that are out now? Give them real quick.
Sheepskin and The Devil's Well.
I applaud both of those
I applaud
movies.
both of them.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
not because you're sitting here.
Thank you.
I like when we have guests like you that do creative things where they're good. So there's not any like awkwardness between us.
Right.
2 great movies and the film that's going to be coming out.
The Dead Girl in Apartment 3.
Dead Girl in Apartment 3. Now, do we have an idea of around?
We're talking to distribution companies right now, so even if I signed tomorrow, probably wouldn't be till end of the year, beginning of next year.
Okay. All right. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
All right. So invasiveimage.com.
Yes.
And if you want to check out Kurt's actual work, you can go to vinegarsyndrome.com.
Yeah, you can go to vinegarsyndrome.com, if you want to see the movies that I help restore and
The
review.
films that Curtis restores, not
Yeah.
the films that he directs.
Yes.
All right. So, Kurt, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has
was
been
fun.
awesome. Total fun. And there's definitely some ones here that I'm looking forward to checking out.
Yeah.
And all right. So, Lloyd, why don't you do the magical thing that we do when we want to go away from Pine and Comics?
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!